here we are going over section B. Listen to how I marked it and the way I marked it and where the marks went. Please be attentive because I can't see you. Here is a pictogram. There it is. Every ball represents 2 matches played. So this, for example, represents 2 matches. This represents 2 plus 2 plus half of 2, which is 1. Essentially, can you interpret the pictogram and answer questions on it? How many matches were 3 goals scored? 3 goals. 2 plus 2 plus 1. 5 matches. Just a 1 mark question. Not difficult. You can, of course, you should really have your work in front of you so you can make corrections, but this will go on the video as well. What fraction of the matches resulted in 1 goal being scored? The matches. Well, there were 15 matches, so you're looking for something divided by 15. 1 goal scored, 2 matches plus 1 match. 3 over 15. Get a mark for each bit. You don't need to simplify it. Part C. So how many goals were scored in all the matches? Please note straight away that the answer of 30 goals attracts just 1 mark only. The other 2 marks go for actually show me how it's done. Alright, so if we were at school now, I would not accept from your hand ever an answer of 30 goals. I'll send you back and say show me you're working, or lose those marks, as was the case with too many of you who thought that the answer's everything. No, the answer's just 1 mark in a multi-mark, multi-step question. Where do I get 3 times 1 from? Well, I've got 3 times 0 here. In 3 matches I scored nothing. I didn't bother to write it down. Here in these 3 matches I scored 1 goal. 3 times 1. In these 2 matches I scored 2 goals. 2 times 2. In these 5 matches I scored 3 goals. 3 lots of 5, etc. So then there's my working. There's my final answer. Answer 30 goals was scored across these 3 matches, which incidentally 30 divided by 15 will be 2 goals per match on average, but I didn't ask that. Question 2, analysing pie charts. So here's the pie chart. Holiday destination of 200 tourists, 200. What fraction of the tourists went to Spain? It's not 40 out of 360. It's not. That's given to you as a percentage. It's 40 out of 100. And then you simplify it down to 4 over 10, eventually arriving at 2/5. Okay? So that's that. Just be careful. These are not given to you as degrees. They're given to you as a percentage. You've got to be very careful how you do this. B. How many tourists went to the US of A? Well, 15% of what number? It's 15% of these 200 guys who went on holiday last summer. So 15 out of 100 times 200. The reason that's there is because I got it wrong originally and I blanked it out and redid it and typed it in. So here we go. I can cancel my 2 zeros because 100 goes into 200 twice, and 15 times 2 is 30. 30 tourists went to the USA. 2 marks for that and for that. What angle would represent the people who went to Greece? Well, this time it's 30%, not of 200. See, it's asking you what angle. It's 30% of 360 degrees. All right, it's a percentage of an amount. So here it is. 30% of 360 means 30 divided by 100 times 360. I suppose I can cancel that 0 with that one and that one with that one. I've just got to work out 3 times 36. Anyway, it's a calculator section, so at least stick it in your calculator. Doesn't matter because it's a calculator section, but I'm just showing you how it could have been done without. So the answer is 108 degrees represents the angle for those who would have gone to Greece for holiday. I was very impressed by how you lot presented this, because you took a special little photo and somehow moved it onto your main document and you sent it to me. I was really happy with the effort and the love you'd shown in the way you'd answered this question especially. So what type of correlation do we have here? What type? It's a negative correlation. A positive correlation goes up this way. As one variable increases, so does the other. But what's happening as this variable increases? This side's going down, 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 down. It's a negative correlation, not a positive correlation. Give an example of this type of correlation, and you've got to give an example of negative correlation. I said car price with age of car. Now, I think one of you tried to sort of say that, but it got very mixed, so I couldn't give it the mark. It wasn't clear. You can say as the age of the car increases, there will be more miles on that car, so it will be worth less, something like that. But it had to be clear. It's not about using it more, using it longer. I think somebody said using it longer. Does that mean I'm going on a long, long journey and then I don't use it for the next 2 months? I won't have a high mileage on my car if that's the case. So you've got to be clear in the way you say it. Not that maths examiners mark your English, but if the English isn't clear enough, they can't give you the maths brain that you're trying to communicate on paper. Draw the line of best fit, something like that. Question 4 with Simon. These are his test scores. I went for 6 numbers because we got 6 units, haven't we? We've done 6 units. The most common score, the mode, is 65, having achieved 65 twice. The median score, let's arrange them all in order. That is not in order. Arrange it from the lowest score to the highest score and find the one in the middle. What's between 65 and 65? I think it's 65. Okay. You don't have to add 2 65s and then divide by 2 to get 65. You can see there is no other number between 65 and 65. Calculate his range. Well, biggest score was 68, smallest score 52. I mean, that alone would attract a mark because you picked the correct 2 numbers and you know what to do with them. And of course, the answer is 16. Now, the mean score, 3 marks for this. You've got to show me that you're adding up these things and getting a total. And then you've got to divide by 6 because there are 6 assessments. Now, the answer is 62.3. I didn't accept 62 because you're over rounding it. I know that in his assessments, all of his results were whole numbers. Just like when I mark your assessments, I won't say you got 58.3%. Well, I won't do that. So I'll round it appropriately. So it's 62.3. The reason I didn't accept 62 is because means tend to produce decimal places, even though it makes no sense in the actual question. You've got to have it. You can't over round things, say it is about 62, but 1 decimal place can be justified. Part E, Simon and his friend. Well, one of Simon's friend had a mean score of 52 and a range of 10. Compare the results of Simon and his friend. Now you could talk about Simon or his friend, but be careful not to mix up the stories of both. So I stuck with Simon. Simon has got a higher mean score. Basically, Simon did better than his friend. His friend got 52%. Simon's averaging 62.3%. You can't say, oh, Simon's cleverer. How do you know? You shouldn't even say Simon's better at maths. It's not clear enough speech. He has a higher mean score, a higher average score, not cleverer. Okay, it's not tight enough because I'm marking your maths, not your common speech or your common interpretation using common speech. But let's look at Simon's range. His range of results was 16 marks. His friend is only 10 marks. So I'm sticking with Simon. Simon was less consistent in his scores. Simon's results were not as consistent. Or you could say, of course, Simon's friends is more consistent. But if you keep changing the subject of the story, then you might get mixed up. So I just stuck with Simon. I could say here, Simon's friend has got a lower mean score. Simon's friend is more consistent in his scores. Okay, you can do that. That's why I said accept the opposite statements for the friend. Drinks sold in Frida's Cafe over 2 days. Okay, so that's Monday, like the white thing, and they should put a little line across there. And this slightly greyed out, blued out thing is Tuesday. So coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and cans of whatever, fizzy probably. Which drink represents the mode? In other words, which drink was sold the most? Clearly coffee, just on that bar alone. On the Tuesday, it's huge. So coffee is the most common drink sold. B, what is the total number of teas sold? Tea, I think that's a 40. And I'm thinking that's maybe, I can't tell, an 80 on the screen. Of course, with this in front of you, you can just put your ruler across there and see that's like 2 notches away from 100. So it's 40 and 80, makes 120. On which day was most drinks sold? How can you tell? Well, it's obvious Tuesday, because on Monday, more tea was sold than on the, let's have a look. Tuesday, because Tuesday's bar beats Monday's bar for tea, Tuesday's bar beats Monday's bar for coffee, Tuesday's bar beats Monday's bar for hot chocolate, and slightly fewer cans were sold on the Tuesday. So overall, there are more drinks sold on the Tuesday. So what did I say? All the frequencies are bigger except for cans. All right, so any sort of evidence that makes sense, I'd accept. I remember in previous years, one child worked out the totals for each one and then added them up and proved that Tuesday wins. Yeah, here we go. D, a total of 600 drinks were sold. What fraction were hot chocolate? So I've got to look at all the hot chocolates here. I've got 50 plus 60 is 110 drinks of chocolate over the Monday and the Tuesday. So it's 110 over 600. There's 2 marks there, and you don't need to simplify. If you do and make a mistake, goodbye marks. Read the English carefully again. What percentage of the drinks were sold were cans? Percentage cans. Well, I've got to add up these 2 bars, and visually that looks like 20 and 30. I'm going to go for 50, but just off the screen it's quite hard to read. Yeah, 50. So 20 and 30, 50 cans of cold drink was sold. How do you change that into percent? Well, listen carefully. It's 50 over 600. Why 600? Because I know 600 drinks were sold. So it's 50 out of 600 times 100. Put that into your calculator, you get 8.3%, but I didn't accept 8 because it would be too much rounding. All right. Somebody missed out F, and somebody missed out the pie chart, and you didn't send me it, so you got 0 for that because you didn't submit it. You know who you are. And I don't know why you missed out F and the pie chart. If you didn't have a protractor, that's your fault. You should be prepared, especially if you know you're going to have an assessment involving pie charts. And how many times did I tell you I'm going to test the pie chart? But if you don't listen, that's what happens. In the space below, draw a table to show the number of drinks sold on a Monday. Okay, so tea, coffee, hot chocolate cans. And I just read off my bar chart so I can do it. 40, 80, 50, 30 maybe. Either way, I got it right in the end. There we go. And that's 2 marks. It's a table of results just focusing on Monday. Last question. Since when would I accept a pie chart from you without the calculations? Since when would I do that? Oh, sir, you knew the calculations. Yes, I did. Right here. Right here. There they are. Right here. So that's my entire work. So what have I got? I've got to go back over here, and I've got to do a pie chart for whom? Just the Monday, because this leads nicely onto this. Now, on a cosmetic front, you can see my little mark there, can you? That's where I use my protractor. I've still got it here. I mean, it's right here. This is the protractor I used to do this question, and this is the protractor I used to mark your pie chart. I want to see a little marking there, a little marking there, and I don't know if you can make it out. There's a tiny little marking just there. All I need is that to get my 4 marks. But first, I better calculate it. What angle do I do for T? Do I just guess? No, I'm going to say 40 out of 200 times 360. Where did I get 200 from? I haven't got a clue. Yes, I do. all these drinks sold on Monday come up to 200. These are Monday's drinks, 200. So 40 divided by 200 times 360, it's this fraction of 360, which is 72 degrees. Then I did the same for coffee, 144 degrees. Chocolate, 50 out of 200 times 360, 90 degrees. And the cans, 30 was sold on the Monday out of 200 total times 360, 54 degrees. If I saw just that alone, I went tick, tick. Or I wrote it down on my calculator, 2 plus whatever other marks you might have got before. So 2 marks for that alone, even if you haven't got a protractor. The other 2 marks is for doing the protractor and doing a reasonably accurate pie chart. When I marked your pie charts, I was looking for the little cuts where the angles were, and then I literally put this against your book or against your screenshot, and I tried to actually measure it with this. And if you're reasonably accurate, I bought it, and I gave you those 2 marks as well. If I didn't see any working, and I didn't see any angles in your pie chart, you got 0. Because I've got no evidence you know what you're doing. I might have seen little cuts. I wasn't going to use that unless I had evidence that you'd worked it out. And too many of you, and one of you in particular, think it's all about the answer. No, it's not. That person who thought it's all about the answer got 0 out of 4 rather than 4 out of 4. You must show you're working. You must stop being lazy. You must do it thoroughly. Okay, that goes to all of you. This is serious. And that's the pie chart. You all know how to do it. I know that because we did it in class. I so know that. Okay, right. That's that.